Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. Man, today's been a dark day, emotionally for me, just because I've been thinking about stuff that's been going on in the past, but more so just thinking about where our society's heading. You know, the indictment of Trump and his appearance in court today. I'm not an Orange Man fan, as you know, if you're a normal listener to the podcast, but we're in a different society now that's willing to use executive fiat and use whatever they can to come after political enemies. And this is extremely dangerous when you start thinking about what the 2A is, because the 2A has always been a political enemy to somebody. And if they're willing to weaponize this against, the Orange Man, I'm surprised it hasn't been fully weaponized against us, the American people, because we've decided a long time ago that we wanted to have and keep our rights. But if you keep looking at what's going on in society, the moral decay, the one-sidedness of the political discourse in this country right now, and that the media that is in power exalts those people that are lunatics, outright lunatics. There's no way else to put this. There's no moral compass that gets you out of where we're heading. And to that end, that's why one of the big reasons why I started getting back into the gospel of violence, which the technical workout name, I believe Sonny calls it, is called the Forge. But the gospel of violence is a philosophy that goes along with it. And basically, it's to get back and reconnect your body to your... Basically reconnect to your body is the best way I could put it. In my case, it's helping me reconnect on multiple levels. I've noticed that I'm breathing better. I'm getting a lot more done in my day-to-day operations because I'm getting those exercises in. That's not just all I'm getting done, but it just seems to make things better. And maybe that's what's wrong with society, is that we're not reconnecting with our ancestral roots, that we are supposed to be an active participant in our lives. I look at all the stuff that's going on, and they're espousing that we should be sedentary and alone. I'm alone in a lot of ways, but I have a lot of friends, and I have different outlets that keep me motivated to do more. It's disgusting to see this level of disregard for personal freedom and self-ownership. There were 34 indictments, and it looks like they were all stacked. And that those stacked indictments were for a single case that has lost its statute of limitations, but they're still pursuing this really hard. The part of me that wonders, that used to be a status, wonders why didn't they go after, Clinton or Bush after he started the war in Afghanistan and Iraq specifically, and why we haven't went after Obama for killing someone like Anwar al-Awlaki in Yemen, who was just minding his own business. He was the son of a terrorist, not the actual terrorist. I think it was sent. Obama did it to send a message, and I understand the message, and I don't know that I disagreed with it at the time. But hindsight's 20/20, and now I have to look back and see how many times has our government lied to us, and what are they willing to do to get to us? I was pleasantly surprised earlier today when I found out that New York State, a county in New York, overruled their red flag law. Why didn't anybody do that in New Mexico? We still have red flag laws here. And they found that it was unconstitutional without giving anyone just cause to come in and take away their rights. So it lended me to think that maybe we could get some sort of effort in New Mexico to overturn some of this crap. And then the reality set in that there is no spine. One of the reasons why I left the Republican Party outright was because they're a party of no action. They're a speed bump. And anyone who's left in the Republican Party has a lot to atone for not actually doing anything. You know, they had, I keep adopting that moniker for some reason, and I need to kick myself in the butt for doing that. But they had the House, the Senate, and the White House when Trump was in office. How come we didn't see more rights restored back to the American people? It's simple. They don't care. They use it as a wedge issue to get us to fight one another and to stop talking to one another. And it's working. And if you look at the left right now, that's what's been happening with the trans crap and all the other stuff. You know, we're in a very different place than I ever thought we would be culturally. Culturally, it's inappropriate to tell someone they're an idiot when you actually know they are. You know, I bet you someone from Budweiser was fired today knowing that they lost millions of sales because of what they did backing Dylan Mulvaney. Now, that may have resonated with a few people on the left side, but not their core audience. And that's where I think we can win still, is economically. Put your money where your mouth is and actually buy the products and services of the places that you know either don't support that crap, don't have any political stance at all, and all they care about is selling their product, or outright refusing to spend your money. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, and I keep looking at all this stuff that's going on, and I keep wondering why they keep attacking this. They're amplifying these weirdos that are ideologically zombies. All they care about are virtue signaling. And virtue signaling only works on social media, not in real life. But it's starting to work in real life, and it's because people have forgotten who and what they are and where they came from. You know, the American people, our culture, is a rich one that's been around for 240 some odd years now, 249 I believe, or 247. Now you think about that. We're the melting pot of the world is what they used to say. And now we're being overran by leftist, communist ideology. You know, one of the biggest things that I remember reading about was the steps the KGB would use to demoralize and eventually destroy the United States. You know, one of the things that I've always done is read. I'm a very well-read person. I don't know if you could call that education. I can just say I was kind of forced at an age to read, and I took to it, and I stuck to it, and I continue to stick to it. And you read some of the stuff from ex-KGB agents warning you, you know, in the 80s this stuff was out around, and you see what they were talking about right now. Yuri Bezmenov is the guy's name I was trying to think about just a second ago. Yuri Bezmenov said that the last stage before communism has taken over is demoralization, and that's what's happening to our people. People are stuck in a bubble where they're only worried about themselves, cash, you know. Advertisers are worried about people only in so much as they're consumers. And that's always been the case, but now you're seeing like Dove, okay? Dove and Unilever own Ben & Jerry's, and they own Dove soap and body products. Well, if you tell people that they're fat and that they're disgusting, they won't buy your products. So if you're always showing off beautiful people using their products, somehow women or fat people in general took offense to that. Now, I'm a fat person currently, but I'm working to get away from that and do a frame-up restoration. And the reason for that has more so to do with my own mental being and my own personal being. I don't want to be dependent on the system. I don't want to be patient for life because I chose a lifestyle that is kind of an American thing now. You know, there was a point in time we used to chop wood. Not chip wood, but actually chop it. There was a point in time we used to have to hunt for our food. There was a point in time we'd have to work really, really hard in blue-collar jobs to get where we are. I've been fortunate most of my life that I've not had to do a blue-collar job. My current business may be considered a blue-collar job. I actually don't care anymore, because you shouldn't have to ask someone or tell someone how you make a living and be ashamed of it. You know, I think the world has evolved to a different place that I don't know that I want to go, and I'm not willing to go. I don't see the virtue and the value in dehumanizing so much so to an identifier, because there's so much more to someone. You actually meet a gay person. Are they just gay? Is that the only identity that they have? Do they have nothing else? I have gay friends that were excellent playwrights. I have gay friends who ran successful businesses. You know, there's so much more to their story than who they slept with. And yet we're stuck as a society looking at stupid things like that. And what's worse is we've allowed the media and the government in general to drive wedges in between us. And I don't mean just gays and lesbians or any of that crap. Those I've never cared about, because I care about the person. Is the person a jerk? Is the person a bad person? These are things we should all know. You know, I've always had a problem trying to tell some intentions on people. And nowadays, I don't even bother with that, because I don't really care about their intentions. And I think that's because I've been demoralized, just like the rest of the country. Because their intentions are probably never good. And if you already have low expectations for anyone, they can't really disappoint you. And believe me, my expectations have gotten lower by the day for a lot of people. And it sounds black-pilled, but it gives me hope in another way. Eventually, when you hit the bottom, when culture hits the bottom, when society hits the bottom, you build up. And what I'm afraid of is we're headed down that pipe, and that no one's going to stop it. And who's left that's going to rebuild it? Because I'll be damned if I'm going to live in that world that they want me to, because I have kids, and I don't want them to be an identified person or some little identifier or some little cultural little piece. I want them to be able to succeed and excel based on the character of who they are and what they're capable of doing. That's what our society has always done. And it's disturbing to see where we're going. I mean, whether you like the Orange Men or not, you have to at least admit that today's proceedings were nothing but a prelude towards a cultural and a societal breakdown. You have no idea what you've done, you leftist idiots. If you wanted Trump to go away, this was the worst thing you possibly could have done. He's polling higher than he ever has. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the dude. He's earning money for campaign contributions right now, more than he ever has. And why is it? It's because he's being persecuted. And anyone from the outside with any bit of knowledge of self-awareness or looking at things critically can tell this is a witch hunt that's perpetrated by a group of people that are zealots and are throwing a temper tantrum because they're not getting their way. And if they can do this to someone like this, what makes you think they can't do this to someone like you or me? And what makes you think that there's any chance that you become a political opponent because you want to keep your rights, that they won't do this to you? That's where we're going. The Banana Republic thing has been thrown around a lot, and nobody understands or says what it actually comes from. I heard tonight from Tim Pool, because I like his show, what a Banana Republic was again. And it's just a reminder of people who have read what the book is called The Financial Hitman. It's American businessmen went into Honduras and other southern, I think El Salvador, and they used dole as a cudgel to get in as a business and subvert the governments that those countries had and install a government that was friendly to the idea that dole wanted, which was backed by the American government. That's a Banana Republic. So while you're using that term in the United States, you need to realize the origin is built in the United States itself. And it's a cold day when you realize that our country has been this way for a long, long time. And it doesn't matter which party you got into, left or right, or you're a center moderate that's not willing to jump off a fence and say, hey, this is my stance. This has been going on for years. There's never been a time where our government was acting in our favor. They've let political opponents get one win or another just to keep the ball rolling. This is where we're at. How do we get active? How do we get around what is happening? Because this is the society that the world is pushing us into, or that our own countrymen are trying to push us into. And it's terrifying. Because there's only one safety check left. And that safety check was put in during the founding of our country. And if they keep pushing that way, there's going to be some people that are going to cut fence and do some very bad things. And that's when you're going to see it all fall apart. Before that happens, is it going to be an economic downfall? Because if you look at the country right now, and you look at our currency right now, there are players in the world that are looking to take out the American dollar from dominance. I don't believe it'll happen, but taking away the dollar's share in the world economy will definitely have ripple effects at home. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope the world gets better. And the only thing I know to do is focus closer to home, fix myself the best I can, not selfishly, because in the coming storm that's coming, we're going to need to be the best person possible for ourselves, our community, and our culture to survive. Like, share, subscribe, be great.